Well, welcome to the last panel of the entire InfoComm. It's been an amazing week for everybody. And I felt the best way to close out this week was to have Mr. Labuskes come up and spend some time with us. And Dave, welcome.
Thank you. It is it's it's probably one of the best ways for me to close out my days to hang out with you for a while in person.
That's the best part, right? It's in person.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were talking earlier, just the energy of this week. I mean, everybody I talked to was like going, we're back.
Yeah.
We're really back.
Yeah. Yeah, and me being me, of course, I jump on that and I'm like, well, we're not back, we're here. Like
Yes.
let's look forward from here, right?
Yep.
This is at every level. This is an event that introduces product, introduces change, introduces us to each other again with all that we bring that we didn't bring the last time we were here. I mean, it's the industry is dependent upon these types of gatherings, and it is clear that we are here and that we love being here.
Yeah, it was great. We at Sony we had our party, our event, our customer appreciation on Tuesday to really help kick off the week, and we were floored at how many people came. Right, you're thinking you're planning this months ago, and we're going, okay, maybe we'll get 200 or 100, and we had 350 people, and it was like it just kept coming, and nobody wanted to leave. They wanted to keep the party going, right? So thinking about this week, looking back, I mean, what are your thoughts of the week? I mean, your team puts a lot into this and works a lot with all of his partners and all the customers and everybody's attending. I mean, what are your thoughts of the week?
You know, um, first of all, we had great confidence going into the event, um, but that I don't think ever could actually replace the sense of satisfaction and achievement and relief when we showed up on Wednesday morning and there were people here. Um, yeah, I've often talked about walking the trade show floor on build-up days and the magic of crates and bare floor and rigging, and then you come in on Wednesday morning and it's like the trade show fairies arrived and sprinkled magic dust and everything looks amazing. If you just take that sense of anticipation and hunger to have an event and multiply it by a million, that's kind of where my team was as we were approaching this event. We had the good fortune of having a amazingly strong event at ISE in Barcelona just a couple weeks before this, and I know from conversations with attendees, with exhibitors as well, that the crowds that were there, the people that came there, and the energy that was there, and the business that was done there, um, reinforced the presences that were going to be placed here. So I know that there are manufacturers that reworked some of their booths so that they would have the ability to bring even more gear. I mean, I suspect. I mean, look around your booth, right? How much of what you're showing even existed in 2019
Hmm.
to be able to have that chance to be able to demonstrate this stuff in person for people to see it. It's been an amazing week. I'm not sure if I even remember your question. I'm sorry I'm
Yeah,
babbling, but it
you're
has
good.
been an amazing week.
Well, and that's the key thing. It has been an amazing week, and you're right. I mean, we were talking in the wrap-up panel with a lot of the attendees and exhibitors just previously before, and we said, what is different about 2019, or even when we were here? We were here 4 years ago, so in 2018, and there's these 2 years we didn't get to see all the innovation we were all working on, and a lot of that innovation came because we were not traveling, we were not doing shows, we were working on partnerships, and I think that was a big thing I noticed, and we see in our booth, we see in a lot of other booths, all this partnership that was happening between all the different manufacturers that didn't exist
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah, when you sort of start to dissect a trade show and look at it the way I have to look at it as an organizer of a trade show, at one level, and as a creation of community for as an association on the other hand. There's a couple points of value that are achieved from a trade show for a Sony. One is your brand presence, right? Just we're Sony, we're here, we're an important part of the ecosystem. But using that phrase, ecosystem, that is an equally important part, particularly in our industry, where no manufacturer, no solution provider solves all of the problem. Every installation that involves Sony technology is involving technology that is in another booth. I keep saying stand because I'm in Barcelona mode, but is in another booth around
Yep.
here, and that ecosystem only gathers here. You can achieve brand presence with a Sony Roadshow and that outreach is fabulous and important for your channel, your customers. But doing it as part of the broad ecosystem of the industry, which is a representation of what we do for our customers,
Hmm.
can only be done at events like this.
Yep.
And so that's become even more important in the last couple years. And so many of those partnerships have been established in a virtual fashion, overlaying the reality of human to human interaction, being able to go to your party on Monday night and being able to share a cocktail or share a laugh.
Yeah.
That's actually critically important to relationships as well.
It is. It is. And I think as we look at where we're at today and where we're going and all the things going, I think one of the biggest things I ask everybody, and it's great for us to look at this show, is what's the health of our industry? And I think our industry's gone through a lot these last 2 years. I mean, we're used to, it's hard to show this beautiful C-LED wall on a display, right? Of showing it over online. Our industry's changed a lot. And I mean, what do you see? I mean, what are you hearing and seeing as you talk to exhibitors and you're talking to attendees?
Uh, the let's focus first in on sort of the health of the industry,
Yep.
right? We have, without any question, moved from eye candy to business critical, and um, that bodes well for any industry. Our market intelligence, we do a lot of research of the market across the globe, and we continue to be impacted by the economy because we are so ubiquitous,
Hmm.
but consistently are outperforming the sort of the GDP measures of the macro economy. Um, we're at about a $259 billion industry in 2019. We had about a 17% drop off in 20,
Hmm.
which is a lot heavier than we had anticipated as an industry, as AVIXA as well. Um, but our growth came back in 21 faster than anticipated,
Yep.
and now in 22 continues to be at a growth rate where 2022 will be the new record year
Okay.
for the AV industry. It'll be the largest year that we've ever had in the history of our tracking of it. So the industry is healthy. Now, it's got some challenges, right?
Yes.
I mean, maybe you had one or two conversations this week about supply chain.
Just one or
But
two.
one or two. Um, the but again, that's why an event like this is so critical, is because those types of challenges are not going to be solved by waving a magic wand, and they're not going to just go away on their own. And it requires creativity, it requires trust within the channel, it requires transparency that comes from trust, and teamwork, right? I mean, team makes the team work, kind of thing, right? And those those conversations have to take place in person. They have to take place here, and they lead to serving our customers more effectively. It's a fabulous problem to have. An easy way to supply or to solve supply chain is to eliminate demand. That's not necessarily a great way to solve
No.
that problem.
Yep.
So I think when I look at the industry is strong and continues to get stronger, becomes more and more critically important as well.
Yeah, and I think you and I have talked about this, and we look at it, and it's a lot of the conversations we've always been having, and we look at the trends, right? And we've talked about virtual production is a big trend that we're seeing a lot of conversations, especially for corporate virtual production. We've been seeing this ITAV. We've always been talking about how we always sit like this, and every once in a while we go like this. I think this year we saw IT even more in the AV space than we've ever seen. As you've been listening and talking, what are those trends that you're hearing, And I think even more importantly, how is AVIXA addressing those trends for the membership?
Yeah, well, you stole my answer, so I've
Yeah, well, I always got to pepper a little bit.
the absolutely enterprise broadcasting and thereby additionally virtual production it clearly meets a need that is out there and does not exist very well yet. So the huge opportunity when you have a need and a solution, but the solution is at the nascent stages of being implemented. Um, and that whole area drives massive investment in product and technologies that aren't actually even seen then, right? It's the content management softwares and storage and the media servers. It's not just capturing and creating the content, but then distributing the content and being able to participate in delivering that entire challenge is huge opportunities for our industry. I was in a presentation earlier this week where one of the manufacturers was discussing the fact that many of their customers have moved from producing 1 million videos a month to producing 1 million videos a week. And that data that is from that and just the scale of ensuring that that content is accessible and usable and meaningful is a huge opportunity for us. Um, the ITAV, we at VIXA are explicitly outreaching to IT professionals that are now finding themselves coming into work on Monday, dumped into the deep end of AV.
Yeah.
And these men and women are smart people. They know what they know and they know what they don't know, or at least they have a sense that there's stuff they don't know. And they want to be educated. They want to be able to add another layer of expertise within their portfolio. The worst thing you can do to a software engineer, networking engineer, sort of your traditional person that would define themselves as an IT person, the worst thing you can do to them is pigeonhole them or put them in a box.
Yes.
They will quit the day that they even begin to smell that you're doing that to them, because that personality recognizes that career is wrapped around being creative and being able to be agile and move through the massively changing dynamics of being in IT. When they are exposed to the AV overlay of UCC and virtual production and enterprise broadcast, these areas that are being dumped onto the IT desk to get done, they want to learn how to do it. And so we're outreaching to them. That's the audience that we are looking to do. Not that the debate. I mean, there's already infrastructure there. There's already education curriculum there to teach AV people IT.
Yep.
Right. The problem is we need to teach or the opportunity is that we need to teach IT people AV.
Yep.
And they don't know that AVIXA exists because that's not where they've traditionally gone for education. It's not
Yes.
where they've traditionally gone for training. And so part of what we're doing is introducing ourselves to them, helping them understand that, and drawing them into our community here, as well as on the AVIXA Exchange that we've done pretty much nothing but talk about, which is our online community of providers and professionals supporting the industry and reinforcing that connection that was made at your party Monday night with the sharing of content and the
Yep.
engagement and conversation for mutual problem solving.
No, definitely. And I think, we talk a lot about our opportunities. And one of the things I've been looking at is how do we continue to bring in people into our industry? And Avix has done an amazing job with the councils and the associations and all the outreach. And we had in a previous panel, I had Alicia Henley, and we were talking about this. And we all as an industry, we did a lot of outreach years ago, and we brought in an individual like that. How are you still doing that? Because I think the most important thing we have to do is we have to look at who is going to be the next IT director or the next person who's doing the content work or behind, in front of the camera, behind the camera, out there? I mean, what are the things that AVIXA is doing to help with that?
Well, let's start. So let's pull that apart a little bit, right? Let's try to eat that elephant a bite at a time. Let's first talk about young professionals, about people making career choices and decisions. That is a ongoing outreach effort that we have, whereby we partner with trade schools, with universities, with high schools, and actually even had a conversation this week regarding a program of 4th through 12th graders to identify and put together, an AV kit that might be, sort of the robotics kind of opportunities where you engage the 4-year-old in working on something that gets their interest.
Yep.
Maybe it's a switching an LED on and off. The Another layer of that attracting people to our industry is diversity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. That's an area that I know is a deep personal interest to you and I. We carry that in our own personalities, and I'm really proud of the work that AVIXA has done in that area and continues to do. This shows a little bit of a demonstration of that. One of the areas that you have oftentimes faced, we have thousands of people that have volunteered thousands of hours for AVIXA and for the industry. And a lot of those volunteers are perennially famous speakers here, right? Their classes sell out every year. But a lot of them look a lot like you or me, and not a lot like others. And so we implemented a program this year that wasn't about like, well, let's substitute the brilliant minds. It was let's pass the mic, or let's share the stage. You know, do you know somebody that looks differently than you or thinks differently from you? And can you share the mic with them?
Mhm.
Can you bring them up on stage? Can you help them develop the capabilities of teaching these types of courses as well? And when your instructors start to have a diverse background, then individuals of diversity will recognize themselves more effectively in the room. And once they're in the room, then they're going to stay here. This is an awesome industry.
Yep.
But we do have that, none of that happens um, organically. It's explicit.
Yep.
It has to be worked at. You know that from all of the efforts that Sony's making corporately. And I know it from our efforts as an association. I could go on.
I know.
You don't want me to go
I
on
know.
and on about
And I
that.
think, but I think it's an important conversation that we continue to have is how do we grow as an industry when you don't include everybody? And you have at the high level, we have the easy conversation. We have to have end users here. We have to have consultants here. We have to have integrators. You have to have the manufacturers here. You have to have thought leadership. You have to have all that stuff. So that's one part of the inclusion. But when we look at the real challenge that we have from an inclusion is how do we make sure that we are representing everybody? And it's not an easy task. When we looked at what we've done this week in our booth, what we do as Sony from a corporate perspective, it's not an easy task. And I think the great thing, we applaud AVIXA for helping challenge all of us and helping give us that channel to be able to do that.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, and we are making progress. Not as fast as I want, not as much
Yep.
as I want, but in 2013, I think we had our first AVIXA women's breakfast. At that time, we weren't
Yep.
AVIXA yet, so it was called the Women of Infocom Network (WIN), and I think we had 13 people in the room. We now have thousands of members of the AVIXA Women's Council. Incidentally, not all women, because it isn't a woman's problem; it is an industry problem. And the AVIXA Women's Council breakfast here on Thursday mornings is every year a sell-out event. I don't know why we don't just put it in the biggest room we have to start with, but every year my team puts it in a room that then has to move to another room and then to another room because And I think this year we had over 290 people attend that breakfast. And I unfortunately was there to greet many of them and then needed to move on to the next event. But it had enormous feedback about the power of the speakers and the event.
Yep.
Um, but but when I started as CEO in 2013, a typical Infocom had 9% female attendance.
Okay.
Today it's 14.
Hmm.
That's 50% growth in 7, 8 years, but it's 14,
Yes.
right? So, and this is sure it's about doing what's right, but study after study after study demonstrates that an organization that has a diverse workforce is more innovative, is more profitable, and demonstrates longer sustained growth than an organization without that. So not only is it right, but
Yep.
it is good business. So I will continue to pound that drum.
And we appreciate that. I mean, as we've shared, DEI is extremely important at Sony
Yeah.
through what we do with our employees, how we do outreach within the industry, and not even just the AV industry, our outreach throughout the entire community, through our consumer brand, our music, our PlayStation divisions, all of those stuff, and a lot of stuff that we do working with. I think I've shared with you the International African American Museum, and the support we've done with them as well. So it's extremely important to us because we agree. An organization is going to grow. It's going to increase and add value to its shareholders. And I don't consider just the profit side of the shareholders. Our employees are our shareholders just as much as someone who owns stock. And so we agree with you. And so we
Yeah, I know
definitely
you do.
appreciate it.
Sony's been a fabulous partner with regards to this. All that AVIXA can do in the end of the day, I mean, you spent more on your booth than I have to spend on DEI for a year. In the end, it's it's the industry itself that we can try to be a catalyst for, that we can try to be a stage for, that we can help to amplify.
Mhm.
But it's you and it's the organizations and then it's the people within the companies. Sony doesn't do anything. It's the employees of
Yep.
Sony. It's the Rich Venturas of Sony. It's all of the individuals that work within this industry that are going to fix this problem.
Definitely. So, Dave, last few minutes, I think one of the biggest questions I'm going to ask. Show's over. I know you're going to take a little bit of a break. Now we got the sprint, right? We got 12 months until Orlando.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of ways that, or how do we help drive new people attending Infocom, getting more and more people? Orlando is. I would tell everybody it's a year away, but it's only a year away. It's not like, I mean, we start planning in about 3 months from now for next year. What are those things that you're thinking, or that AVIXA is looking at to help drive more engagement, continue that conversation, and drive us into Orlando?
Yeah. Well, I guess you probably won't buy on to my idea that we did it in October, now we did it in June, so we should do it in February, and then we could do it in
Uh,
November, and we could do this show on an 8-month cycle. I think that'd be pretty. Yeah, my
Please
team
no.
does. My
Please
team
no.
doesn't think that's a very good idea
Oh,
either.
I don't. I can tell you, my team would be looking at me if I agreed on that one.
I think it's brilliant, and that I get 3 shows in 2 years. It's like 50% show increase.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the I think it's about relevant content. You as one of our exhibitors are actually one of the most. The exhibitors are the most powerful marketing force we have for attendee promotion. Again, because you have a significantly larger capability of doing outreach. And so I don't have the statistics obviously yet for Infocom 22, but as Sony's program with a VIP registration code, we track all of that. And the ISE event we just had a couple of months ago, I think it was about 47% of our attendees were registered via an exhibitor's
Mhm.
manufacturer or VIP code. So keep doing the work you're doing there. I think the other piece of it is the attendees. It's word of mouth. It's that people say you should be at this event. And then it's also upon my team to make sure we have content that's relative to or relevant to the audience that we want to have. So our conferences like D Sign that we did, that are directly targeted at the digital signage portion of our industry, bring attendees who are of interest to the exhibitors, and then who tell their friends to come next year. So this is a cycle that we do every year.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking forward to Orlando. So, Dave, thank you for spending some time with Sony and everybody in the industry. We appreciate it, and a great show this year.
Thanks for all your support. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you.